Episode 8 of Andor starts to tie together some pretty interesting loose ends, and the glimpse into the Imperial prison system brings new meaning to "the floor is lava." Hi all, Snarky J Cosplay here. First and foremost, I'm gonna have to apologize for my voice. I lost it a few days ago, just now getting it back, but I didn't want to miss out on reviewing this episode of Andor, so you're gonna have to bear with me. Episode 8 is officially out on Disney Plus today, and it's shaping up to be probably the most intriguing Star Wars series to date. For that reason, I'm rating this episode a solid 8 out of 10. We're starting to see different storylines and different characters finally intersect, and I think that is driving this series toward its climax, which I'm really looking forward to seeing. We also get some really interesting Easter eggs that I'm super stoked to share with y'all. So with that being said, let's get into it. From this point on, there will be spoilers for episode 8 of Andor. You've been warned. So our hero, Cassian, found himself arrested and sentenced in the last episode. And this one finds him being transferred to another planet right at the beginning, a place called Narkina 5. We get our first Easter egg here. Another prisoner that's also being transferred gets sent to a place called Basalvis, which is actually a reference to the extended universe. Basalvis is a barren ice planet that used to serve as a prison during the time of the Rakatan Infinite Empire. Now, Narkina 5 is actually this big Imperial prison facility. It's on the water and it's got these giant floating pentagons. And it starts to let us know that clearly the Empire is not opposed to forced prisoner labor. Upon Cassian's arrival, our second Easter egg comes in the form of a comment made by one of the officers. He says that the floors here are made of tungstoid steel. This is yet another reference to the extended universe. It's mentioned in one of the Star Wars novels that tungstoid steel is so strong that it could even deter Jedi. Cassian gets taken to another room where 49 men are toiling away building these big mechanical parts. And we get another Easter egg when we meet the floor manager here, Kino Loy. Kino Loy is played by none other than Andy Serkis, who most of y'all know also portrayed Supreme Leader Snoke. Obviously these two are not the same person, but it is cool to see an actor as talented as Andy Serkis come back into the Star Wars universe. As it turns out, in an Imperial prison factory, the stakes are pretty high. Good performance is rewarded by adding flavor to the food that they eat out of a tube, and bad performance is punished with what they call frying. These guys are super fond of heat and electricity here. Prison life under the Empire is so miserable that we actually see one of the inmates jump off his bed to his death onto an electrified floor. And that's just one of the reasons why most of the time that we're seeing Cassian in this prison, he's just looking shell-shocked. I don't blame him. I'd be super freaked out if this is how I was seeing prisoners be treated here. He does manage to hit his stride later in the episode, but honestly what I'm wondering is how the hell he's gonna get out of this one. I don't think he has many, if any, connections on the inside, so I wonder if it's gonna be more of a prison break or something diplomatic. I'm really interested to see where it goes. The other storyline that's actively being built in this episode is that of Supervisor Dedra Miro. At the beginning, we see her confront Cyril Karn. He's gotten on the radar of the ISB in a bad way because he keeps making these stupid inquiries to try and figure out more about Cassian Andor, and he's doing his best to track him down, even though now he's technically a pencil pusher. Though when he talks to Dedra, he tries to make himself look like an asset to the Empire. She tells him to cool his jets and leaves. At an ISB meeting, we can assume that there is more trouble ahead for Cassian and his friends, because Dedra Miro is given all the resources and all the access to Ferrix that she needs so that she can track down Cassian Andor. Beyond Cassian Andor, however, is the fact that she has discovered the presence of somebody who she's calling Axis, the guy who is at the center of all these different rebel organizations. We know for a fact that is Luthen. On Ferrix, Cassian's friends Bix and Brasso are both trying to help take care of Marva, who has hurt herself in the midst of trying to engage in some rebel activity. The bad news comes in the fact that Vel and Cinta are both on Ferrix, and they're actually both listening in on Bix and Brasso's conversations. We're not sure exactly how Cinta got off Aldhani. We do know that they're reunited. Vel is also revealing herself to be more of a romantic. Cinta insists on staying on Ferrix alone, and when Vel questions her about what kind of cover story she's gonna use, Cinta throws a little shade her way and tells her, hey, Maybe I'll pretend to be a rich girl hiding from her family. This is an obvious dig towards Vel, though we're really not sure what Vel's life really is like. My theory is that she's actually Luthen's daughter. It could be entirely too obvious, it's just what I'm thinking right now. With Marva sick and concerns mounting, Bix is desperate enough to get to Cassian that she actually tries to contact Luthen. It's important to note that she's once again using an old transmitter at her friend Pack's yard. Clea receives the transmission, but she actually refuses to answer, and after a somewhat heated discussion with Luthen, they actually cut off all ties to the transmitter on Ferrix. This naturally spells trouble for our friends. The next morning we come to find that Pack has been detained, and the Empire, we all know, is the group that you really don't want to be detained by. The same fate seems super likely for Bix Colleen. After she tries to run, she's still taken captive, and when she gets to the hotel where they're all holed up, she runs into our favorite supervisor, Dedra Miro, and we actually find out that Pack has been tortured, which isn't a huge surprise. We can already assume that Bix is likely to receive the same treatment in the next episode. So on the diplomatic front, after cutting off that connection to Ferrix, we see Luthen fly off to Segra Milo, shedding that Coruscant disguise we all know and love in order to meet with none other than Saw Guerrera, who after appearing in Rogue One has appeared in a series of other Star Wars media. And it's a welcome sight that he's just as uncooperative and rough around the edges now as he will be in Rogue One in 5 years' time. Luthen is offering Saw some parts, and he tells him that he'll give him the parts for free if he agrees to meet with somebody by the name of Anto Krieger. He's got more big plans in motion because after everything that happened on Aldhani, because he says this brilliant line, oppression breeds rebellion. And that is a story this show is definitely trying to tell us. It's not trying to show us shiny lightsabers or big starship fights. It wants us to know what exactly it is that birthed this rebellion, this story that we've been hearing for literally like 40 years. However, despite Luthen's pretty great offers, Saw Gerrera refuses. He says that all these people, these separatists, these human cultists, all these people are lost. Luthen actually admits that he's a coward and that he's doing this because he wants to stop the Empire before they get to a point that they can't fight back against anymore. Saw seems to not really care about that. The two don't manage to come to an agreement here. I'm definitely looking forward to seeing if Saw makes another appearance in the next episodes. We don't exactly get a whole lot from Mon Mothma in this episode. She's hosting yet another dinner party, supposedly to get votes for some legislation she's trying to pass. There are jokes made about how she's trying to save the Empire from the Emperor. We all know that her real mission is to try and get her hands on her family's cash, which we hear is 400,000 credits to be exact. And for that, she's still trying to enlist the help of her friend Tay Kolma. It seems so far that his hands are kind of tied, and it seems like every time these two get to really talking real business, her daughter comes out of nowhere to interrupt. I'm wondering if she's gonna start thinking that Tay and Mon Mothma are having some kind of affair, or if she's just being an annoying teenager. Jury's still out. We get another Easter egg here. Mon Mothma is revealed to have become a senator at age 16, which adds to the trend of folks in the Star Wars universe becoming involved with politics at a really young age, like Padme Amidala being elected Queen of Naboo at age 14, and Princess Leia Organa becoming an Imperial Senator at age 18. Pretty impressive. I'm 22 and making YouTube videos in my room, so there's that. During the party, after this weird series of awkward conversations and interruptions, Mon Mothma's husband Perrin tells her that Tay has already left. This put up a huge red flag for me. I might be looking way too much into it, but I think it's really weird that Tay would have just dipped without saying anything to Mon. I think we're maybe gonna see something start going awry in the next couple of episodes. That is pretty much all that happens in this one. Now, despite any fan complaints about the lack of lightsabers, the missing Jedi, the fact that there are no big starship fights in this episode either, I still think this episode does a brilliant job of building tension. And for the folks that feel like this show is boring, here you go. These plots are all starting to come together. It's episode 8 out of 12, which means that the next few are likely to be filled with action, filled with intrigue, and we're really gonna start seeing all these different plot points come to a head. For me, all this drama is way more interesting than any battle you could have put in the other Star Wars media, because you already know that the good guys are gonna win. And while you may know where this story is going in general, you're really not sure about some of the specifics, and it keeps the story interesting. I love this episode for what it reveals about the Empire's cruelty. I love it for how it's starting to build up the rebellion's desperation, and I love how all these different plot points are finally starting to come together into one big cohesive story. This is what a long show with a good plan looks like. I'm totally digging it. Once again, I apologize for how I sounded during this video, but I hope you all liked it anyway. That's all from me. I've been Snarky J. Thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and let me know your thoughts on episode 8 of Andor in the comments below.